Welcome to the J&J Sip and Say. Tonight I am flying solo. Jill's out of town, and we'll touch base on what she's up to here in a little bit. But I just want to get on here tonight and kind of talk about what's going on and try to shed some positive light onto our current situation. We all know what's going on. The coronavirus has become a world pandemic, I believe they're calling it. This guy is not a scientist or a doctor. It never will claim to be, but it's definitely gotten very serious, and I think it's one of those things we heard about, and I don't think a lot of us thought much about it, and it's a shame to say until it really started affecting our sports. We saw the NBA started postponing games, and you had a player test positive, and then March Madness was right around the corner. You were kind of starting some conference tournaments. A few of them had been finished, and we were all kind of wondering, are we going to get basketball games with no one in the stands, or what's going to happen? And first, you started seeing the conference tournaments being canceled, and I think we all knew that the March Madness, the big tournament, was going to be canceled as well. And of course, last Thursday it was. And that's when I think people really were looking around thinking, wow, this thing must be really serious. Maybe we're overreacting. I don't know what it is, but it was obviously from the guidance of our paid professionals in these areas that we postpone and cancel these events that bring mass amounts of people together. And when you have all these cancellations, people really forget about the stadium worker or the arena worker, the ones working the concessions or taking tickets or working security, or there's so many people behind the scenes of these big arenas that make these events happen, and those are the people that are really relying on these paychecks. They're the ones that they have a family at home that are probably paying rent or a mortgage, and got to put food on the table, and they're relying on these big events to help fund the family. And with them not having the NBA season's postponed or suspended indefinitely, and then March Madness is canceled, NHL's postponed, all the major sports. I think that's when people really started thinking about those people. What are they going to do? And it's been really good to see a lot of owners, seen a lot of players reaching out and saying, "Hey, we're gonna pay these people. We're gonna make sure these people's bills are covered." You've had owners saying, "We're just going to keep the payroll going as normal." You've had a lot of NBA players, NHL, and all the leagues come out and pledge X amount of money that's going to go towards these workers, and or they're just say, "Hey, I'm just going to cover their salary for the next 30 days." And that that kind of togetherness is what we're going to need to get through this situation. And I came across a story earlier today that this is courtesy of sunnyskies.com. It's kind of a positive, good news website. It just wasn't. It was just a few weeks ago that a really bad tornado went through Nashville, and everyone jumped on board. And I gotta give props to my wife, Jill. She's a huge dog person, and our good friend Kyle Carsey makes these really nice custom-made bow ties for dogs' leashes. And this month, she is donating half her proceeds to the, I believe it's the Humane Society or one of the animal shelters in Nashville, because there's a lot of misplaced dogs. So of course, Jill had to hop on and get our dog a new bow tie. And so that money, went down to help out Nashville, which it sounds bad, but I've seen forgotten with the coronavirus blowing up the way it has. But as far as the story I came across, the Arnold is a big fitness event in Columbus, Ohio. It's one of the biggest events, brings over 250,000 people to the Columbus area, to the convention center downtown. Well, that was canceled due to the coronavirus. You just could not have that many people gathered together. So, obviously a lot of meals were prepped, a lot of food was served or ready to be served, and there was no one to serve it to. So instead of putting that food to waste, we already have a food waste problem anyways. A lot of that food was taken down to Nashville to help out those first responders down there, which is very, very helpful, very thoughtful, and kind of a reflection of how we can come together when areas are facing a tough time. And it seems like, once the tornado rolled through, a lot of musicians donated, a lot of people were helping out. And then the coronavirus came around. So I mentioned the stadium workers are helping out or getting help from the athletes and owners. And then, after the big tournaments got canceled and all the seasons got postponed, then we started seeing the local effect. We started seeing restaurants and bars closed in Ohio, closed in Illinois, Michigan, kind of all around the Indiana area. And then yesterday, it would have been Monday, a couple days ago, they came out and closed the bars and restaurants in Indiana, at least for dine-in services. So it puts a lot of these restaurants in a tight spot. So, not a lot of them really rely on takeout. I know some do. Some offer it, had offered it. Now a lot of them are going to have to offer it. So if you're going to be out there this week, and probably the next several weeks, I don't see an end to this anytime soon as far as the closings, think about where you eat at. If you're wanting to grab something quick on the way home, try to go local. Try to go to that place you normally go to on Saturday evening with your family. Give them a call, see if they got takeout available. Most of them do. It's going to be a necessity for a lot of these places. I think it's important that we look around and I'm a huge guy about supporting local, but if you're going to your chain restaurants, those waiters and waitresses and managers, they're going to be struggling too. So if you can find it, tip a little more generously, or just try to help out any way you can with those people, because they're going to need it. And then all these schools closing, colleges closing. There's going to be a lot of kids, especially at the elementary level, that are going to need some sort of daycare. And I mentioned Jill's out of town. Her, her sister and brother-in-law, both work, but their son's daycare and schools both close. So they're trying to juggle that whole fiasco, which is a problem many people are facing. So, Jill being a stay-at-home mom's like, hey, I can go help them out and watch their son, and that way their boy and Blair can, cousins can play together and have a good week. And mom and dad can go to work and not have to worry. So it's just things like that. It's things that just kind of helping each other out, helping family out. Check on that neighbor next door. This if they're young, old. If you know them well, if you don't know them too well, just kind of check in on them, make sure everyone's doing all right. It's going to be a long road. I'm not sure how long these type of shutdowns are going to last. I don't know. I'm kind of completely blown away by the current situation. I don't remember ever seeing anything like this. I was 15 years old when 9/11 happened, and a lot of things shut down as far as sporting events, and I think we all could all understand that. It was tangible. We knew what happened. We knew we had to be safe and kind of regroup as a society of what had happened on that day. But this is a little different, especially here in here in East Central Indiana. We really haven't had too many cases. We really haven't been, I would say, affected too much. So we're reading all these news stories about people getting infected and how fast it spreads and how dangerous this disease is. And we're kind of chilling here in the Midwest, or at least here in Indiana, not really seeing the effects of it, which I think makes it more difficult. Is when, one, you can't see it, and two, you just don't know really what it is. Obviously, there must be something bad with it, because the precautions that are being taken, and as bad as it sounds, a lot of times the dollar usually kind of takes the high road, I guess you would say, the bottom dollar for these sporting events because there's so much money on the table. An NBA game or an NCAA tournament game, NHL game, and these people are just saying, hey, that's just not important, which is it's a great attitude to have. It's just sometimes rare in our society. So that's when I was really thinking, man, this must be serious. But I really hope these precautions are going to work. I hope this is something we look back in 6-8 months as, hey, we did all that closing down and postponements and cancellations for a reason. We kind of had to go on lockdown for a while, but the disease never spread too much. We always think something's going to happen, but in this situation, if we can just kind of lock down and spend some time at home and hopefully let this thing pass or die out, it will serve its purpose for us being on, I guess, kind of a quarantine shutdown. But there's also positives to that. I know it sounds weird, but I think sometimes we need to slow down. I think it's important that, maybe instead of worrying about going out all the time or being so busy, we spend some time at home. We have a game night with our family or just watch some old TV reruns we haven't watched in a while, or we maybe do some reading. And we're so fortunate too. We have so much technology that we can really stay in touch with each other. And this past Sunday, obviously a lot of churches are being canceled or because you can't have these group gatherings. We were able to watch our pastor do a sermon Sunday morning at normal time. We were able to flip on Facebook Live. If you got family members, you can always call them, text them, FaceTime, Skype, whatever it is. The technology we have, even though a lot of times it causes problems for us, it really allows us to stay in touch. And in this situation, when you really can't go out to dinner together, you can't go out to movies together, and a lot of people, you can't go worship right now, but get on Facebook, hit that video call and check in on someone, or just call someone you haven't talked to for a while. Just, we're going to have time to do that. We're going to have that extra time that a lot of us don't have because we're so busy running here and running there. Well, here and there is closed right now. So find the time to maybe check up on that friend you haven't talked to for a while, or, set up a time to video chat with some family members that you would normally go out to eat with. Take advantage of the technology that we do have. You don't have to be isolated. You don't have to be, quote unquote, quarantined in your house. Not with the technology we have nowadays. There's going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of people utilizing that. I know a lot of churches are already doing it. Schools are using e-learning. Obviously, colleges are using virtual classes. And that technology is available for a lot of us. So, find a way to touch base with people. And, it's always good to check in on people and stay in touch. So, another thing is, keep up on the news. I think it's important. You kind of got to know what's going on. But I would not obsess with it. I would not sit and watch it all day and go down the rabbit hole. There's going to be a lot of negative coverage of it. It's kind of hard to kind of wade through what's right, what's wrong, what's truth, and what's false. But, keep up on it. Maybe there's some new precautions or some new regulations, but don't get too involved with the news. I know it's easy to sit there and watch it for an hour and then be terrified and get all concerned, but just try to stay up on the news a little bit, and then like I said, read a book or give someone a phone call or go pick up some takeout from a local business. So this will be a short one tonight. I just wanted to hop on here and just kind of spread a little positive as best I can. It's one of those things, I feel like tough times make us better. They bring us together. And I think it's one of those things with all the precautions we're taking. Hopefully we won't see too much effect of this, even though we might mock it and say, oh, we did all this and nothing happened. Well, I think that's the idea at the end of the day. But get out there and try to pick up some takeout from a local business, or call that friend you haven't seen for a couple years, or check in on your neighbor, pick up a book, or go for walks. That's one thing they haven't shut down is we're fortunate here in Muncie. We have the Cardinal Greenway. It's still open for walking, biking, running. As far as I know, the state parks are open. You can go do some hiking there, or hopefully the weather gets nice, and pack a picnic with the family. There's a lot of options out there. We don't have to be tied down to sporting events and movies. We can. There's a lot to do outside of that. So try to make the best of this situation. Stay safe. Obviously, I know wash your hands and social distancing and all that good stuff. But I think it's going to be all right. We just got to kind of follow the guidelines and make the best of the situation. So, as Jill would say, make it a great day and sip and say.